we have some resources that we looked up for getting abortions and different abortion services you can have access to, even if you live in one of those trigger states. So this is from Shout Your Abortion. They were an IG that I found, and they put together this really great list. You had another one as well. Did we delete that guy?
It wasn't a list of resources. It was more just an article about what you can do.
Oh, well, I would love to see that.
Is that good?
Yeah, I would love to see that.
It's like I saw your thing and I was like, oh, my thing, it is not as good as your thing. I pulled this up from Pitchfork. It says donate to an abortion fund. Support reproductive justice organizations. They got the National Latina Institute for Reproductive Justice. They say stay informed. That's what they're saying to do.
Okay, all right.
Speak with your legislators, engage with your community. You know,
broad.
That's exactly, yeah. I thought it was a little broad.
A little bit broad, but I think when I still appreciate something that has actionable steps, right?
Yeah.
Because I think a big thing about these rollbacks on our rights, these tragedies, these mass shootings, all the loss of life from COVID, it's so much that we're like desensitized, right? So I think a lot of times people are like, yeah, everything is shit, man, but like, what the fuck do I do, right? As a small peon, a tiny little speck, what am I to do? Part of that I think is intentional. If you're overstimulated and you're like, it's too big, it's bigger than me, I can't do anything, then nobody does anything. So I appreciate constructive list of like things you could do. However, I think sometimes when you make it that generalized, it's not effective, right? It's like, talk to people. I mean, but that's the thing though. Everybody's like, we need to get out here in the streets. And I'm going to say something spicy that I think not everybody's going to agree with.
Go for it.
I think it's a terrible idea to go out and protest right now. Here's why. All right. I think protest is great for drumming up awareness around things, right? This idea that protest is the only thing we have at our disposal as a means of reacting to this kind of stuff, I think is very dated. You know, people are like, Martin Luther King used to get out and march in the streets during the 60s, and that's how we got, you know, segregation to end. And I'm like, yeah, you know what also happened to MLK? They shot him, and then they made a holiday about him. Police are militarized now. When you're protesting, you're putting yourself in the line of fire. We've seen in the 2020 uprisings, right? After George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, we saw the police using excessive force, knocking over elderly people. They don't give a fuck. Also,
I remember watching footage of
like that old man that they knocked over and he got a concussion.
That's the guy.
They don't give a fuck. All right. They're paid to not give a fuck about you. They are not here to protect and serve. Police can only do something once a crime has been committed. I think that we need to be working with each other to create networks of care versus focusing on gathering people to protest and possibly re-traumatizing them and possibly you're putting people in places where they can possibly be harmed more. That's kind of my take on this shitty situation, right? Here's some resources. Check on people that have fucking uteruses. See what you can do to help. We got to get help to people that live in trigger states. We got to figure out how to support people because at the end of the day, the only people that are really being affected by this are poor people. Rich people always have access to abortion because they have money. You go somewhere else. The people that are really affected here are poor Black and brown communities, people without access to cars, child care.
It just further disenfranchises disenfranchised people.
Give me the weed, pass me a joint, let's hold your heart. That is the point. Have you enough? I'll take me a toke. It's the high on top.